Spoiler alert for the following movie, Thor Love and Thunder. Beware, listeners. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Protodead podcast, where anything goes, but with a strong focus on music, movies, books, and video games. Basically any form of media that we love to be entertained by. Please forgive any background noise that you may hear from our microphones, because we're family men, and our families like to play too. I'm Protodead, your host, and today my guest is GN Grizz, which I'm excited to have on the podcast today, because we haven't talked on the podcast for a long time. GN Grizz was on my podcast 10 or 14 podcasts ago, or what have you, and I play video games with Grizz a lot, and I'm really happy to have him as a friend and on the podcast. So we've been playing the Cycle Frontier and Tarkov and Borderlands 3 and a whole bunch of other video games that we really like. So Grizz, I appreciate you being on, and is there anything... I don't know, man. I feel like I'm rambling on. This is early in the morning. I need to hit my coffee. Grizz, take it away.
Yeah, good morning. It has been a minute. Time is definitely against me a lot of these times. I already had my caffeine. I just chugged my my Bang energy drink.
If we could all have a bang in the morning, I think we'd be better for it.
Oh, 100%.
All right. What brings us together today is we kind of want to talk a little bit about Thor Love and Thunder, because it just came out on streaming on Disney, and first impressions, holy fuck, hot take. It could have been better. Had some problems with it. I mean, it was like firecrackers going off, but no sound. You know, it was like something was missing for me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, 100%. The reviews why it was in theaters weren't great, and I kind of held back and wanted to hold my own opinion on it.
For sure. Yeah. I actively avoided everybody else, all the people that I listen to on the YouTube doing reviews. I just, as soon as they brought the movie up, I just hit fast forward, skip. I'm just not going to listen to the rest of the video because I wanted to formulate my own opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of me too, but man, I honestly think She-Hulk is better than Thor Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Thor Love and Thunder is not one I will go back and just like, oh, I want to watch this movie today. I feel like it could have been so much better, especially considering it's probably one of his last movies with the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like it was rushed. I don't know. I just was not impressed with it at all.
No, I think Chris Hemsworth would probably do himself a service by doing a dab, you know, like the kids do with the fucking hands up in the air, do like a dab, and then just scoot the fuck out of Marvel and just get the hell out of there and start doing real movies, you know.
Yeah, like the only one I think he might be in again, and it might even just be like a cameo appearance. It will be the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie, just
Yeah.
because that's where he went after Endgame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's one I thought too, because I thought it was going to be like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was going to have him as being one of the members, but this movie started with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then he, you know, dipped. So, like, he parted ways with them. So is that is that, you know, that little section of this movie, was that what we thought is that all we're going to get? Because I thought that's what Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was supposed to be, was them together. So is he going back with them now? Like,
Well, it could be, but I think with the way Marvel's done things in the past, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, chronologically wise, could actually be before Thor Love and Thunder.
oh, okay.
You know, kind of like, yeah, I mean, look at Black Widow. I mean, Black Widow was in between was after Civil War, but between some of the other movies, but came out after those movies.
Yeah, right. It was definitely before Endgame Part 1
Yeah.
because, spoiler alert, she fucking died. Um, so I really think the best thing about Thor Love and Thunder myself is Chris Hemsworth's physique in this movie. That is hands down the best thing about the movie.
Agreed.
Goddamn, he's got a beautiful body.
Yep. I mean, and he always has. I mean, even in Thor 1, Thor 2, I don't know where they went with the whole dad bod thing going on in Endgame,
Yeah, that was weird.
but I am glad they kind of let it go back to the Thor that everyone kind of fell in love with, I guess you can say.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, I think his character arc through the movies. Once Taika Waititi, the director of this film, got a hold of it, I think it completely destroyed his character arc and like just kind of shit all over it, in my personal opinion, because Thor's character starts off as being brash, and I believe I will never die, and no one's feelings matter because only my enjoyment in like very selfish. And then he
yep.
loses the ability to wield Mjolnir because his dad is trying to teach him a lesson about humility and about how to be maybe a better leader for it and stuff like that. And then he loses friends and he has suffering. He knows what it's like to now not have anybody to lean on. Like he loses his home, his family, his friends. Like he goes through all these trials to become an effective leader for his people, like the king that you would want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Taika Waititi gets a hold of it, and Thor Ragnarok was fun. Don't get me wrong, but it just turned Thor into a joke. He was just a big fucking joke that everybody made fun of after that.
Yeah.
And I think it really dashes his arc to turn him into what we thought his dad, Anthony Hopkins' Odin, was supposed to be. Prestigious, calm under pressure, commanding, kind, but also fair and harsh in judgment. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just certain cues about this movie too that just threw me off, and maybe that's why I don't want to watch it. Like the whole like love relationship with um I can't pronounce it, but the Hammer and Stormbreaker, and it's just like, to me, why is that needed?
Yeah, it was a little silly. I thought about that too, and I was like, is this a joke? I mean, like, in the comics, did the instruments of power, the weapons, did they have personalities? You know what I mean? Like in the first movie, they talk about Mjolnir chooses you or something like that, but not more like in a like how the ring in Lord of the Rings, chooses or calls out to people or something like that, but not like it actually has a little being trapped inside of it that has emotions and feelings and gets jealous and shit like that. It's like I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
Yep, that's kind of where I'm at. It's the Hammer chooses you if you're worthy, but if you're not worthy, then you're not going to be able to pick it up. Um, and besides Jane Foster now obviously being able to pick it up,
Yeah,
Captain America was the only other one.
yeah, yeah. In the whole of the universe. Yeah. So Natalie Portman is dying of cancer, which is it's before I say that, I just want to say that this movie is super fucking choppy. Not choppy as in like you can't keep track of what's going on in the story. The editing, there was no gravitas, there was no weight left in the editing at the end of somebody's line that was supposed to possibly be dramatic. The editors chose not to give enough, just a little beat for the audience to let what they say soak in it was like they were rushing, like let's hurry up and just get to the next scene. As soon as somebody starts talking, hard cut to the next scene, instead of a breath and then the next scene, which I think it's something, since I do a lot of video editing, I think about quite a bit. And I really think that the beginning part of this movie, if somebody were to watch the first part of it and just think in terms of how quickly they cut after everybody says a line, everybody speaks to the next thing, they would see what I'm talking about. Because if they just hold for a beat, like a lot of other good dramatic movies do, it has more weight to what they say, the characters on screen.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that bothered me. So yeah, Natalie Portman, so she's dying of cancer, but it's like a joke, right? No big deal. Dying of cancer, let's make a joke out of it. Stage 4 cancer, I'll come back from this, no big deal, it's not the end, whatever. And then it's just like, just that quick, she's holding Mjolnir and she's fine again, right?
Yep. And I guess the hammer's supposed to bring you health. It can bring you health.
Which has never been established before.
Yeah, it's established now. I mean,
yeah, it never happened before though. Like Thor was super strong. He just didn't have lightning powers when he held the hammer in his hand in the first movie.
yeah, it's again, and then the hammer's destroyed, but what happened to the one that Captain America was holding at the end of Endgame? Like, this one was destroyed by Thor's sister.
Yes.
But where's the other one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so, like, it comes out of nowhere in Endgame, and he catches it, right? And the crowd goes wild. And then
it comes out of nowhere because it brings people back. So I think I don't know. Because Thor's sister was before Thanos destroyed everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't even know where that one came from.
That's what I'm saying. Is I don't know where it came from. It just came from the ether. It just came from the distance and into Cap's hand. And the crowd goes wild because, hey, Cap's holding the hammer.
Which, if anyone were to pay attention in the first Avengers movie, the hammer does slightly move when Cap tries to pick it up. He just doesn't fully try to pick it up.
In one of the stingers at the end of one of the movies, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, it threw me off for a minute that it's like, okay, well, where's the other one?
Yeah, where is the other one?
And then back to like the things having feelings and like the whole Stormbreaker not wanting to work or comply because the hammer was back around, and I'm just like, really? Like, I guess for me, is like, is that really necessary?
Yeah. I can imagine the writers for this show and Taika Waititi and like sitting around the round table, just like spitballing, like, what are we gonna do with this movie, man? Oh, well, let's make it super colorful, and Taika's like, oh no, I got that. We've already got that written down. And he's like, oh, let's have Korg in it, the character you created, Taika. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Korg's gonna be like basically the main character of this movie. And then they're like, and let's also have like the hammers have sexualities and attitudes and be like a jealous girlfriend. And Taika's like, I also have that already written down. We're doing that.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know, man.
And then another thing that also bothered me is the whole like Zeus thing. Like, when I think of Zeus and Hercules and the Greek gods, I don't think of someone that's going to go have an orgy with other gods.
Yeah, so that's just more of Taika Waititi injecting his humor into a movie that maybe doesn't necessarily need that kind of humor. But so can you, in this world, in Marvel Universe, basically any god you've ever heard of from any franchise or any mythology from any peoples around the world throughout all of time is apparently in the MCU.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know. But yeah, apparently anybody can make an appearance. So if I don't fucking know, man. It's just like you can have Scandinavian gods, you can have Roman gods.
I feel, again, going back to, Thor 1, Thor 2, they played the Viking gods or the Nordic gods really well. You had Thor, you had Odin, you had Loki, and they fit into what we know as the Nordic gods and kind of what we know about them. But then you bring in Zeus in this movie, and Zeus is supposed to be this all-powerful Greek god. Like, he's top dog. He's Odin compared to in the Nordic gods. And they kind of make him out as a joke. And I guess for me, I'm like, why? Like, what's the whole purpose of making these gods a joke?
I don't know.
Because any other movie that has these gods in it, or even the Nordic gods, they're not a joke. I mean, when you look at Hercules from Disney way back in the 90s, Zeus is not portrayed like that.
No, I mean, obviously that's a different Zeus. So
100%, but
yeah,
it's sad that the cartoon movie has a more accurate Zeus in it than probably one of the biggest franchises that Disney's been able to take a hold of.
right. Yeah. Tell you the truth, that whole scene, I think once Chris gets all of his clothes ripped off of him, and all the ladies get to gawk at his naked body. Between I think when he gets reclothed, and then to the time where they're fighting Zeus in the arena or whatever that's called, I kind of fell asleep. I don't know really what happened. Unfortunately, it's the only time in the movie I fell asleep, but I kind of fell asleep. I woke up. I snapped awake after that.
That just shows you how bad this movie is.
It's literally boring.
I've never been able to fall asleep through a Marvel movie, and I honestly, for watching this the first time, I was on my phone more than I was watching the movie.
Oh damn!
And that's not how I watch movies when they're brand new and I've never seen them before.
Yeah.
When I've seen them before, yeah, I'll watch it. I'll watch it and have my phone going at the same time.
Yeah.
But I was really like, this movie was just like, and for me, holding off all of the other bad reviews that I've heard and wanting to formulate my own opinion, I was 100% 45 minutes in. I'm like, this is. I looked over at Holly and said, I don't want to watch this again. This is it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know where they're going with it. I don't know. To me, this isn't a Thor movie. This is a joke.
It's a big joke. Yeah, and I mean, they made fun of Thor plenty in the movie, big dumb Thor, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I think they could have really humiliated Thor and made him a big joke even more than they did. I think that's probably what they wanted to do, what Tyga probably wanted to do, but somebody, I think, maybe had some sense to say, dude, you can't just keep fucking doing that. You're going to have to take it back a little bit. I think I think Christian Bale's Gore in this movie, I think Gore as a character and Christian Bale's performance, I think was really good, like gold. I think every part of that, when he was on screen, I think it was like really good.
Yeah.
I liked the way the character looked. I liked, the origin of the pain, like his motivation. It was believable that this could be a whole nother threat, that made sense. Like, You know how like it's almost like rock paper scissors sometimes with some of these characters that are super strong. They have everything going for them, and then a weakness is discovered, and like Superman's got kryptonite or whatever, but it's like something completely out of left field that takes the audience kind of by surprise. It's something they never thought about. Like in Lord of the Rings, for instance, the King of the Nazguls or whatever it is. I'm not a super fan, don't get me wrong, but it's
The
like
ring wraith.
the ring wraiths or whatever. It's like they can be killed by no man, right?
Yep.
And then, do you know you know where I'm going?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you know where I'm going with this? Finish it for me. They can be killed by no man, but then they're fighting in battle with
Men, but then they are unstoppable. At least it seems like they're unstoppable. And with the Lord of the Rings one, it's not killed by a man; it's killed by a woman.
right.
But the odds of running into a woman in battle back in the Lord of the Rings, where they were kind of set in the time era,
Yeah.
you weren't going to just run into a woman on the battlefield.
Right.
So it was kind of like they had an uneven odd of winning.
Sure.
And I feel like the same way with this character. And I guess that to me, that's the one thing out of this movie that I actually enjoyed was that character development.
Yeah.
And how well that character was played.
Yeah.
You
Christian Bale does a good job. He knows what he's doing.
you look at what Thor is that? Not Ragnarok. What's the second one?
Dark World.
Dark World. You look at the character development for that enemy. It was really strong. Seemed unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that's where this went.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in the end of the movie, he didn't really defeat him. He just kind of inspired him to choose a different path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I thought that was cool too because it subverts your expectation about two massive forces fighting to the death, and sometimes the way you win or the way you circumvent the problem or defuse the bomb or whatever is not necessarily just to hit it with a baseball bat. Sometimes it's about inspiring.
Yep. And I think that was a good message for the movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's bits and pieces of the movie that I like. I just don't think I like enough of it to go back and watch it again. And then talking about Eternity.
Yeah.
So Eternity to me looks like Galactus from the multiverse. The big dude that's
the world
like the
eater.
guardian. Yeah. But then did you also notice that that she has Eternity's powers?
She who?
Christian Bale's the Gore character's daughter.
Yeah, so I guess her name is Love.
Okay. Did you notice she has Eternity's powers? She's able to shoot the like purple sparkling stuff out of her eyes.
Yeah, but did the Eternity ever do that? Was that established? I don't remember Eternity ever doing that. So
no, I don't.
She has some powers, but it's not Eternity's powers.
But did you also see when in the water, when after he wished for it and he was laying in the water dying, and Love was walking up to him, her reflection in the water was that of Eternity.
Oh no, I didn't see that. I missed it.
Because Eternity's all of a sudden got hair and it's flowing, and then it pans up and there she is.
Interesting.
And then going back to the whole Zeus thing, did you see the scene after the initial credits? Did you watch that?
Yeah, Golly, for the life of me, I can't remember. One of them was Zeus talking about, how he won't stand for being punked on like that or whatever. And he's got his harem of women like doctoring up his chest wound or what have you, and then he's like, Hercules, come by and show the audience how you're gonna fuck something up.
Yeah, like, are they gonna bring Hercules now to the Marvel universe?
Yeah,
Like, are they
apparently.
gonna create a whole movie on that?
Apparently, yeah.
Because Thor's not. I mean, from what I understand, Chris Hemsworth's not coming back. This was his last one.
I really feel like they didn't. I don't think they didn't finish his character. He's going to be in another movie, man. I mean, unless. Let me think. So at the end of this one, he's got a newly adopted daughter that he decides he's gonna raise, and and he's just gonna go off and just train her to be like Thor, I guess, for the rest of their days. But it didn't feel like it was like the end of Endgame where Captain America was like, dude, I'm fucking done. I'm done. I'm gonna go do my own thing. You guys can like live in peace and fuck off or whatever, but I'm gonna go like chill. It wasn't like that, so it didn't feel like this movie rounded out Thor's story. It feels like there's still another leg in the adventure left, and like I said in the beginning, like Thor, Chris Hemsworth would do himself a service by finding a way out like as soon as possible. So you're probably right when you said he was going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because I can feel that as being like they can do something. They can either kill him off, or they can let him ride off into the sunset with his older adopted daughter, and they can just live in peace and prosperity someplace.
Yeah.
But especially since Jane Foster is apparently a god, and she's going to live in Valhalla, he's probably going to go meet her there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, holy shit. So I don't think I think him and Hercules are probably going to face off. That's probably what they were alluding to. But if you remember that stinger that we were talking about, Hercules, like he makes his appearance, like he lands on the floating platform or whatever, and he like flexes his hairy muscles, which all looked pretty cool. But as soon as his face is revealed, like they show his face for like half a second and then just hard cut back to credits.
Yep.
They could have just left him framed on there for just a beat and just calmed down, took a breath, and then faded back to the credits, but they didn't do that.
Yeah, I could see that too. You barely get a chance to see who is going to be playing Hercules. Like you barely get a chance.
Yeah, you don't even hardly see it.
Like you have to almost pause it at that exact moment.
Yeah, I just don't know what they're in such a fucking hurry for. I mean, the movie's 2 hours long. It could have easily been 2 hours and 5 minutes, and just given enough time for all of those little pauses that I talked about, and it probably would have done the whole movie better for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's by far, for me, by far my least favorite Marvel anything from the whole MCU that Disney and Marvel have created over the last, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And that's, and She-Hulk is not even that great, but I honestly would rather watch She-Hulk than this movie. And I don't know.
Yeah, She-Hulk's a big joke too.
100%.
Yeah, it's a big joke.
But
like everything's a big joke. It's almost like She-Hulk takes place in a completely separate universe, basically. It doesn't have the same feel as any of the other films that came before. It doesn't have the same presentation. It doesn't have the same level of craftsmanship or storytelling or anything. It's almost like the interns, the GRDPs stepped in and they just gave him a project and they said, just have this done in 6 months, and then we'll see you back. And they turned up with She-Hulk. Like maybe they swung by Taika Waititi's office and said, "Hey, can you give us some jokes to make this like insufferable piece of shit funny?" And then Taika Waititi was like, "Yeah, we can just make fun of everything. Let's make fun of men. Yeah, let's just make fun of a bunch of men, and that'll be great."
Yeah, and I think why for me the She-Hulk is better than the Thor is that we don't have anything to kind of base She-Hulk on.
Yeah,
Um,
there's no
I've never
history.
read I've never read the comics. I don't. Was there a cartoon before? I don't.
Maybe there was. I'm not sure.
Um, I have not personally seen anything. So for me, it's like, okay, well, this is just how I know She-Hulk. It's how it's. But with Thor, we have a really good backstory on,
Yeah,
and
he's been in like what, 7, 8, 10 movies before this?
yeah, and and how you mentioned, it really has been a downward slope these last few movies he's been in with the way they portrayed his character.
Yeah.
Um, which sucks because I actually really enjoyed Thor in Avengers, in
Yeah.
the first Thor, the second Thor. Um,
Yes,
even in
sir.
Ragnarok was better than this one.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe Ragnarok was better than this one. We might could look up some aggregate scores just in general because I mean, if we can believe that they're honest. Um, so in general, IMDb's rating for Thor Ragnarok is 7.9 out of 10. Um, Geez Louise. I was hoping to see somebody else's scores also here on the website. Thor Love and Thunder so far 6.6 out of 10. So a full point lower and more, a full point lower and more than the previous Thor entry. But of course it may over time it may increase or decrease a little bit, but
Wow, so the Thor doc. So I'm looking on Rotten Tomatoes,
yeah.
um, which it's hard to. Rotten Tomatoes is really really. I want to say strict. Like they don't give out just high scores to anybody.
Yeah, and also any digital platform can decide to just erase any user's
Yeah.
input because we've seen it with YouTube and we've seen it with um, Apple and fucking all these other institutions that just don't like to have their scores like people to judge them. They'll wipe the bad ones clean. Um, Amazon Prime's doing the same thing right now with their Lord of the Rings show. They've blocked anybody entering a review. They've blocked it because there's a lot of bad reviews coming in. So yeah, you said what's the score on?
So for Love and Thunder, the tomato meter or whatever they call it is 65%. The audience score is 77%.
For
Now that's
what?
for Love and Thunder, which seems really off to
That
me.
seems it's okay. So yeah, it seems like the shills and shit would give it a higher rating because they're fucking shills, and it seems like anybody with half a brain watching the movie would score it at least fairly. Would score it way below what the fucking shills scored as.
Um, the best one on Rotten Tomatoes is actually Ragnarok. So Thor Ragnarok on Rotten Tomatoes, and this is just I'm just using them as a um the tomato meter is 93% and the audience score is 87%.
That's bullshit. There's no way those numbers are real.
Yep.
No way.
Let's look at a different platform.
So I'm seeing on I don't know what a Metascore is, but on IMDb the Metascore is 74 for Ragnarok, and then now Love and Thunder is 57. So it goes from 74 to the newest entry 57.
Yeah,
Whatever Metascore is.
so on IMDb, Thor is a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Thor Dark World is a 6.8 out of 10. Ragnarok is a 7.9 out of 10. And then Love and Thunder is a 6.6.
Right.
So, and honestly, I'm probably, for me, I'm probably at like a 5. But look, they only have 209K reviews.
Yeah. I mean, you can contribute if you just sign up, make an account.
Um,
I used to have an account a long time ago, but when IMDb, which I use religiously, when IMDb got rid of their forums, where people talked about movies, I fucking checked out. I was like, dude, fuck you guys. I still use it as a tool, but I used to get on there and just have discussions with people over the forums, but they scrubbed that. I don't know why, and it just absolutely twisted my insides.
yeah. But yeah, no, it's definitely not. I don't even think it's a 6.6 in my opinion.
No, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Well, cool. Well, I'm glad we can unite like that. Me and you, we could be, you could be Thor and I could be Jane.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could unite on that one.
And then, and that's another thing that's kind of bothering me about this movie too, is we discussed it prior to watching the movie because it was a spoiler and we talked about it before.
Yeah.
But did they really need to put that little scene in there with Korg finding his soulmate? Like,
Oh,
was that fucking necessary?
oh yeah. Was that the stinger? Was that the stinger at the end? Oh no, that was like in the epilogue or whatever when it was like Korg was wrapping everybody's storylines up and shit.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm living happily ever after with my soulmate Blaine. Like,
Yeah, Dwayne.
was that even necessary?
Uh, I don't know, man, because he says earlier in the film, just like real simply, he's like, I got two daddies, and they held hands over a lava pit and made a baby, and I was like, on the one hand, on the one hand, when you're talking about a fictional rock beast or what do they call them, golems or whatever, not like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, but a rock golem, do they really have like the tackle, the genitals and stuff to procreate like almost every other animal does that we know of on human Earth and the reality that we live in today, being a male female copulation sort of situation. If it's a fictional character that's made out of rocks,
Yeah,
maybe if they want to make more of their species, maybe it's not necessarily, you know, penis in vagina, make baby. So it's kind of, maybe it's one of those situations where they're asexual, that they don't, because we have animals on Earth that are asexual that they can either reproduce by themselves or they impregnate each other and they both get pregnant out of the union. So like I said, on the one hand, is it so hard to swallow that there can be two same-sex creatures in this universe or whatever, and you know what I mean?
no, it's not hard to swallow. I guess for me, it's more of a, they didn't kind of portray that at all. And then it's like, oh, this is probably the last time you see this guy. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess for
He's getting mustache rides on the fucking mountainside.
I guess for me, that's kind of what it is. It's like,
Yeah, man. Like nothing against gay people, right?
yeah, no,
Yeah, right.
100%. I don't mind gay people at all. I
Totally,
actually have
totally,
some
totally love gay people. You know, but
100%. I just don't see from a movie standpoint,
why?
are we going to see Korg again? Like in chronological order of the way it should go, not the way it releases, because we all know movies don't always come out in chronological order. Look at
For
Star
sure.
Wars. Um, so are we going to see Korg again technically after this movie in the timeline? Or are we going to see Korg before this movie in the timeline? So it's kind of like for me, is it necessary? Was it necessary as a last minute plug
Yeah.
to say, oh yeah, this guy's
Getting mustache rides by a rock dude on the mountainside.
yeah. I guess for me that's kind of where I'm at with it. If they would have done that early on in his character development, I don't think I would have been so upset about it.
You know,
But it's
I asked the question to my wife. I was like, "Whoa!" We had to pause the film whenever he started talking about his two daddies over the lava pit, and I was like, "Just a question, just a quick question. In the previous films where Korg appears, did it ever establish that the rock people were all just one sex? Did it ever mention it before?" I'm sure it didn't, but she couldn't think. I mean, you know,
no,
she thought about it and she was like, I'm not coming up with anything.
yeah, I don't think so either. Like Valkyrie, like we knew Valkyrie was not um from early on. We knew that the Valkyrie was not is it almost
Heterosexual.
heterosexual. There you go. We knew that she was gay. 100% okay with that
Yeah.
because it was early on in her character development.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there's a right time to implement that kind of things, and I think towards the end of a character, why?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Korg hasn't, honestly, Korg as the character hasn't appeared on screen for very long. He was a dream that Taiga just, he wanted to insert himself into Ragnarok, so he made a character for himself to play, right? Um,
Yeah,
that, so I was talking about on the one hand earlier, right? So on the one hand, is it so hard to believe that Korg is, a species that's all one sex or whatever? Yes, I believe that. But on the other hand, did they have to necessarily say they were two daddies? Why couldn't they have just made a word up that was asexual? I mean, like they made it sound like he's homosexual. That all the species, you know what I mean? Like, what am I trying to say here? Like, on the other hand, they first of all, they could have just made it simply mommy rocks, daddy rocks make baby rocks, and that's all. There was no further explanation needed. Like, that's fine, but
yeah,
he specifically was like, all of the rock people are male, and they are masculine in nature, and they look masculine. So, but they're not. There's only one sex, and they reproduce through some other way to make a baby. So why not call them daddies and males and stuff? Why not come up with a different word like ethereal rock dust, or like some other term that doesn't mean anything to us, but it means something to them. You know.
yeah,
Like boulders, my older boulders. That's a better one. I probably would have gone with that. My older boulders brought me into this world, and one day I'll be an older boulder, and I'll find another boulder that I don't that I could be a holder to, and I don't fucking know, make a rock baby. Like that would have made more sense easily.
yeah.
All
But
right, moving on from that though. Um, I understand that the screenwriters needed to make, they decided that Jane Foster was going to be in this movie, and that she was going to be Thor. So she's going to have cancer, apparently, because that's the plot. She has cancer, and when she's holding the hammer, she doesn't have cancer.
yeah,
Did she earn it? Did Jane Foster, the character, earn Mjolnir? That's the question to you.
um, I mean, I feel like there for a minute from what we know of Jane Foster throughout the Marvel universe, um, she always tries to do what's best. Um, when she had the ether inside of her, um, once it was out, she 100% wanted to stop it. So, from the little bit that we know of Jane Foster, because she only makes the appearances in Thor and Thor Dark World, and that's kind of where that's the last time you see her until now.
Hmm.
Um, so basing off of that, I think yes, but we also don't know what happened in between Dark World and now with her life. Um, Obviously, she wrote a book on the Jane Foster theory, which that was something she was working on during Thor and Thor Dark World.
Some contribution for the scientific,
Yep.
progress of humanity. Yeah.
Um, but do I think she's always had kind of like the best interest for people? I think so. Um,
Okay.
so which I think is one of the biggest things for to be able to wield a hammer is being, I want to say, selfless and putting the needs of other people before yours. And at
Okay.
that, I think I say that, and then her wanting the hammer
Is because she's trying to
save her
abandon.
own life.
Yeah. I mean,
But
kind of
but what?
selfish.
Yeah, but what does she do with the hammer? It seems like she does protect the people. She
Uh,
uses it to protect the people.
yeah.
So
So
in a way, it's selfless, but at the same time, it's also helping people. So
I think it's a stretch. I
yep,
think it's a pretty big stretch, to just hand over. Not only is she able to wield Mjolnir immediately and able to do all the stuff that Thor did before without thousands of years of experience with it, mind you. This happens immediately. She's just as strong as him. She's just as fast as him. She's just as competent and capable as he is. Almost just like She-Hulk, right? But She-Hulk's a different thing because it's all a big fucking joke. Um, but yeah, so she gets not only is she able to wield Mjolnir on a whim, but she's able to reassemble it. Like the hammer was shattered, right? Broken by what was the evil? What was her name? Hela. Yeah, so Hela
so
broke it, and then Jane Foster comes up to the hammer, and the hammer not only is she able to wield it, but it comes back together for her and her alone.
yeah,
I don't know, dude. It's just a stretch. It feels to me like she didn't earn it at all, and I think the story writers and the director are asking of a competent audience. They're asking a lot from the audience to dismiss all of that shit. You know what I mean? Because there's plenty of people in the world in on Earth right now. There's plenty of people that's probably done way more good and that's way more pure of heart than Jane Foster is.
yeah, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. But I mean, hey, it's their movie. They wrote it the way they wanted to write it. Um, I don't know how long it was. Did they ever establish when she got the hammer and became Thor, how long she was doing the Thor thing
6
until
months.
it was about 6 months?
That's what they state. It says that she found out 6 months prior to Thor coming back that she was diagnosed with cancer.
Well, no, okay. So she had been diagnosed with cancer and undergoing treatment long before she got the hammer. So how long did she have the hammer and was doing the Thor thing until Thor showed up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could have been a couple of months. I mean, it wasn't
Maybe
very long
maybe a couple of months.
because as we know, stage 4 cancer. Yeah, there's been people that have lived a couple of years after being diagnosed with it, but stage 4 cancer it's the worst. Like there's no living from stage 4 cancer. You're just eventually going to die from it. There's no getting rid of it.
Mm. Yeah, it's
Of course, that's a a real world scenario, not in the Marvel universe.
yeah.
But most people with stage 4 cancer don't last 6 months.
Hmm.
Most,
Yeah,
because
I don't.
it is the worst. It's attacking more than just that one part of your body. It's spreading. It's growing.
Hmm.
Um, if they find it early enough, then they can stop it. But if it's stage 4, it means it's been there for a while
Yeah.
and it's now spreading. And when it
Hmm.
starts to spread, it's really hard to stop it. So it's, but yeah, then I don't think there is a solid timeline of how long she had the hammer.
Yeah.
But
Well, she was able to perfect it pretty fast, though.
going back to that, um, it sounds though like when she grabs the hammer, it brings all of Thor's powers and knowledge with it.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what I gathered from it. And maybe
Yeah.
that's how she's able to wield it as well as she does, because because even her outfit, um, it's not her own outfit, it's Thor's outfit.
Sure.
So is that why she's able to wield it so well? Because also, if you notice too, when she's in the hospital bed after Thor makes her stay there and he goes and fights is it Gore? I think it's the
Yeah. Gore.
um when Thor's getting beat up, she's feeling those same punches. I don't know
Hmm.
if you saw that cutscene back to her, but Thor gets hit, like say on his right side of his face. Um, they cut back to her in the hospital before she goes and saves Thor, and her body's getting hit too.
I didn't catch that. I don't know if that's true. Like if she's just human Jane chilling in the bed, hooked up with some chemo,
I,
why would she be feeling a blow in her face?
because I think once she picked up the hammer, she became started to take those effects of what Thor would. I 100%. You should go watch that quick little like minute
Hmm.
there, and you'll see kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go back and take a look at it. I thought she just turned her head because she was like looking at the chemo bag and she was like making the decision, am I going to go ahead and just die? I'm gonna grab the hammer and I'm gonna go try to play Thor one more time and know that I'm gonna die at the end of it, which was contrived as fuck, by the way, because like, how many times in a movie it's like, this is the climax of the film, other character and also by extension the audience. If you do this thing one more time, it will take all your energy away and kill you. That's the critical, this is the talk where you have a choice. You can either do the one thing that's going to save your life, which is what you should do, or you can do the other thing, which is sacrifice your life for the greater good of everybody else, which you're not supposed to do. And we know what the character's going to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so to me it seemed very contrived because it's like, oh, Jane, you've been using this hammer for the last 3 months or whatever while you're not doing your chemo and your radiation therapy. You've been using this hammer and it's been keeping you alive while you use it, but in the meantime, it's been somehow poisoning you further or sucking your life away. He said, like the hammer is killing you. He says, and you've been doing it for 3 months. But if you do it one more time, it will be the last time you ever do it. Trust me, I'm a doctor. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I just thought that was kind of stupid. I thought it was cheap.
So, and then another thing. Um,
Yeah.
so Thor went to the gods to assemble an army,
Yeah. Yep.
but at the end, he
Hmm.
assembles the army using the kids.
Yeah, he does. And so So you're saying that that Jane Foster takes blows to the face, even when she's not in Thor form, as Thor's getting taking blows to the face. But then Thor makes all the kids Thors, and those kids too weren't getting punched in the face when Thor was getting punched in the face.
Yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying there too. So the part I'm talking about is I just kind of really quickly went and found the exact time in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's at 1 hour 33 minutes and 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Um, but at first, the first time it looks like she, like you said, she's asleep and she's looks like she's tossing and turning, and the then Thor gets hit in his left side of the face, and as soon as he gets hit, they pan back to Jane in the hospital bed, and like you see her head like if she were to get hit from the left side, like it went straight to. So maybe I'm looking too much into it, but it just to me that's kind of what it looked like from the first time watching it.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, to your point, what you were saying before that was that the goal, the plot was they're going to go to the Coliseum of the Gods or whatever, where all of them are chilling and having orgies, and they were going to raise an army to defeat the dark shadow dude. And they didn't do that, but ultimately Thor does raise an army, but it's an army of inspired kids.
Yeah, that have his powers.
Yeah. I think that was okay. That was kind of cool.
But I guess to me it's like if he was able to do that the whole time, like why?
Yeah, like a deputy, like a sheriff, like in an old western or whatever. The sheriff is like, I need some deputies. So you, shopkeeper and floor sweeper and also muckraker, here's some badges. You guys are deputies now. Let's go get the bad guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, maybe in the world of Thor, it's like he's gonna get cited a big fine if he does that, or whatever. Like that's what keeps him from doing it. But this time he'll pay the fine.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe that's a good logical way to look at it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's got to be a reason why he doesn't just deputize everybody he's around when they have a crisis.
Yeah. And maybe he was only able to do it because he was holding because it wasn't blue lightning either. Maybe it was because he was holding Zeus's lightning bolt instead of Stormbreaker or the hammer. I can't pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try.
You can't say Mjolnir.
I I ain't trying to mess it up.
Oh, I don't think the hammer gives a shit if you call it, by any other name.
Um, so maybe that's why he wasn't able to do it. It's because he wasn't
Oh,
holding Zeus's lightning bolt.
because he was holding Zeus's lightning bolt. Yeah, so like maybe it has powers. So I kind of like the idea that these mythic um, items from that are held by some of these strongest characters in mythology or whatever, like the items themselves, are imbibed with strange and unnatural superpowers. So, like, if you've ever played God of War, right, you know that the Kratos, the God of War, he finds a god and whoops the dog shit out of them, and then takes one of their powerful artifacts for himself, and then he has it for the rest of the game, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, Thor's lightning bolt was pretty neat.
Yeah, and I like it because it wasn't the traditional Thor Zeus's lightning bolt. Um, because when you think of Zeus's lightning bolts, it's not a a tool or a piece of equipment. It's just lightning that he conjures up.
You mean like more in the real?
Yeah, yeah. So it was kind of cool to see that they actually had like a weapon. Um, and then the different things that you could do with it. It didn't just have the lightning, but you could also like split it into two pieces and
Be
throw it
like
out.
daggers?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think that was really cool. I think that weapon setup was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I did like it. Faux show. Um, Let's see. What else? I think the black and white when they landed on that asteroid planet thing.
Shadow Realm.
Yeah, I think that was like my favorite part of the whole movie because it's like where the whole movie got serious
Yep.
and like took itself seriously.
Yep. Yeah, I can agree with you there as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool that they did that. Like, well, we knew they were going to the Shadow Realm, but it was kind of cool to see that they made it like a black and white, like dark. It was just kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I did like it. Hmm. I'm gonna go through some of the trivia on the IMDb real quick, and see what you think about this. So Korg's god Ninny Nani sits on the throne of scissors because rock paper scissors game rock beat scissors. I don't remember seeing Korg's god in this movie, but did you see it?
Yeah, yeah, he was in there. Here, I'm gonna pull it up real quick, just because I already have the movie up
Okay.
from when I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he was in there. It was very brief, very short. But it was when they were in the Hall of Gods.
Oh yeah. That might
Yeah.
might have been the part where I fell asleep.
But I did not remember him sitting on a throne of scissors. I did not catch that part. So
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see it.
I'm gonna go look right now. Oh, he is. It's at 54 minutes and 6 seconds. He is sitting on a throne of scissors.
Nice, man. What a cool
I didn't,
deal.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, what a wonderful little joke that Tiger Waititi put in there.
Did not even catch that.
um, Thor's goats, Tooth Grinder and Tooth Gnasher, appear in the film. These goats have appeared in both the Marvel comics and the Norse myth of Thor. Their constant yelling is a reference to the famous internet meme of a screaming goat. I didn't understand the screaming goat thing. Like I didn't know what it was a reference to, but I thought it was fun. I did kind of like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I thought it was funny too. That actually didn't bother me a bit. I thought
Yeah.
it was kind of funny.
How annoying those goats were.
Yeah.
I've never heard of a screaming goat, but I mean, I've seen all the fainting goats.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth is on his 8th time playing the character of Thor, achieved his biggest physique ever in the film, getting up to 231 pounds for the role. His longtime trainer said that he's a phenomenal guy. He's the biggest he's ever been. The extent of musculature required of Hemsworth, he had to eat 8 times a day during the entire duration of the film just to maintain all the muscle mass. Shit. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean when you're getting muscle mass like that and yeah, he wasn't like the world's strongest man bodybuilder challenge, but
right.
to maintain that muscle mass the way it is, even just to maintain it, not to grow more,
Yeah.
the calorie consumption is, you're looking at 4 to 5,000 calories a day because your body, when you work out like that, your body is consuming thousands of calories. Um, so when I lost weight before, losing weight, you don't want to eat as many calories. But the days that I would do muscle building versus cardio, those days would require me to eat more because you burn more calories building muscle than you do just doing cardio. Because what cardio is doing is cardio is using the fat calories you already have stored in your body and turning those into energy.
Mm-hmm.
Where building muscle, it uses some of that, but it still requires so much more. Um, so I can understand that. I actually need to get back to working out. Um, I'm at the
Yeah.
heaviest I've ever been in my life. I'm not proud of it, but it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. Having kids and, life changes and new marriage and all that stuff will do that to you.
Yeah, new marriage and I think for me, going back to school has put a hindrance on a lot of the fun things and things I like to do. Um, but that's a personal choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I've recently started working out again. I bought a 25-pound dumbbell and I keep it by the couch. So whenever I'm watching movies and stuff, I can just pick it up and just kind of move it around a little bit.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I handed it to my son, my oldest son, who's pretty big. He's about as tall as I am, and he couldn't lift it. And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, bitch."
Yeah, when I do dumbbells, I'm a 35-pound dumbbell guy.
Jesus, what a
Um,
monster! What a beast you are!
just because reps wise, yeah, you can do a lot of reps with lower weight, but it's kind of like the same routine. You do the same routine, you're not really going to see a lot of progress.
Mm.
Um, because your body gets used to doing that same routine.
Yeah, you got to
So,
shock. Yeah, so Arnold Schwarzenegger in his bodybuilding encyclopedia talks repeatedly in different sections about shocking the muscle into growth. So yes, when you say that your body gets used to the demands that you ask of it, and you have to do something different, and you have to like shock your muscles into working a different way before you start seeing more muscle growth. Yeah, I've heard that before.
um, and that's kind of why, like for me at work, I know we're getting way off topic here, but um, for me at work, I used to lift a lot of the heavier valves, but I wasn't really growing any muscle because it was a daily routine, something I did every day.
Mm-hmm.
My body was used to it, so it didn't really. Um, but when you start going to the gym and you start throwing those different techniques in and the different ways to lift weights,
Yeah.
it really does put a whole different shock on your body. I could go to work for 12 hours and do what I did, and at the end of the day, I was fine. I wasn't sore. But I go to the gym for 45 minutes and lift weights the way I lift weights at the gym, and my whole body hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just because my body was used to doing it one way, but not used to doing it the other way. So,
Yeah. Right on, man. I don't work out nearly as much as I should because my joints are fucked up. I got like problems with my joints. They get sore really fast. Like my joints hurt. Like there's somebody taking a dagger and stabbing it down inside the joint. I don't have anything diagnosed, but I definitely have a joint weakness and I have joint problems. So yeah, I've had steroid shots directly into the joints on my elbows and my knees. Um, and it seemed like it exacerbated the problem when I was lifting weights. And so I stopped lifting weights. I was in pretty damn good shape about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was a pretty muscly boy. But yeah, something happened. I don't know what it was. Something
yeah,
changed.
kind of me too. The biggest thing is I just need to. I think, I think when I get a different position and I get off before 5:30,
Mm-hmm.
um, where I'll have time to maybe get off work and maybe go do a 30 to 45 minute walk or something like that, where I can actually spend the time and not feel like I'm losing time by
Mm-hmm.
working out. I
Yeah.
think that's when I will be able to get back into shape. And I don't even want to be like Chris Helmsworth, but man, I would love to lose about 120 pounds because at 390 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not happy about it. Like it's getting harder and harder to find shirts that fit, not only because I'm fat, but because I'm tall too.
Yeah, yeah, you're a big boy.
So, I'd really
You,
like to drop about 120. I
yeah,
think because I also don't want to be like, the doctors say, well, you should only weigh like 210 pounds because your height. Yeah, if I was skin and bones.
yeah, yeah, man. It's gonna take a while. You got to change a whole bunch of stuff to make that happen.
Yep, totally agree.
Yeah, I tried to make the change where I had smaller instead of like a big breakfast and a big lunch and a big dinner. I tried to make it to where it was like two small things every 2 hours, or one small thing every 2 hours. Instead of eating a breakfast, it was really just like a snack, and then another snack a couple hours later to increase my metabolism. I'm not seeing a lot of great benefits from that yet, but I only started it about 3 weeks ago. So used to, I had snacks in the snack drawer and I would just eat them whenever I felt like. So I would eat like a beef jerky stick or an Atkins shake or a trail bar, like a hiking snack bar or whatever it is, whenever I felt like it. And sometimes it'd be 10 of those items before lunchtime, you know? And so I limited. It's like there's only two of those happening before lunch. And at lunch, if I don't have a lunch that I brought, then I'll just have one of those too. And then I've dropped 20 pounds in the past month and a half. So
It's good for you, man.
yeah,
100% happy for you.
yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better. I need to start working out.
It'll it'll definitely help with that joint. I know you said you have joint pain, but putting the less stress on your knees because you're not at the weight you were, it'll definitely help. I don't think it's
Push,
going to get rid of it 100%, but
push
it'll
out.
definitely help.
Yeah, word. Um, Chris Hemsworth calls Gore his favorite villain in the Marvel universe. How interesting.
I honestly think it was a great villain,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, he did a good job, Christian Bale.
So, and I gotta say that's one thing with Thor. The villains have always been played and portrayed really well.
Yeah, I think it's something to be said that it's totally fine that we don't know where when the character Gore is introduced, we don't know what realm it's happening in. We don't know where at, what location, what planet. We don't have any. It doesn't matter. It's the struggle of him trying to keep his daughter alive, which is what is enamoring about the situation. And then she passes, and we can relate to that, that pain. And then for some reason, immediately afterwards, he finds an oasis, and then the oasis, he's still trying to like get his thoughts about him or whatever. I mean, he's completely consumed by I can finally drink because I was in a desert, and I can finally eat some fruit. There's something to eat, and I'm starving. And then he discovers, oh, the gods have made this oasis. And
Yeah.
then the god obviously has some selfish shit to tell him, and then Gore's able to quickly dispatch the god and decide that he's going to kill all gods because all gods are pretty shitty people. Um, Side note, the golden blood that god had, I guess not all gods have golden blood, but that god specifically had golden blood, and I thought that was really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, Zeus had golden blood too.
Oh yeah, so I guess maybe only the highest gods have golden blood, huh?
Yeah, because if you look at the when they're doing the distress calls, with the Guardians of the Galaxy, if you notice all the images of the dead gods, all of them had gold blood. It looked like.
Yeah,
So I think you're right. I think all the higher gods have the gold blood.
because Thor doesn't have gold blood.
No, he doesn't.
He's got red blood
Yep.
because we've seen it before.
Yep. And then Zeus. I mean, we saw Zeus's blood. It was gold. Um,
Yeah,
all of the all of the what is it called? The soldiers in the god temple or whatever that place is called.
They all had gold blood too.
Yep.
Yeah,
So I
because
really think it's the people that are high gods. You know, like I think Odin would have had gold blood, but we've seen him with red blood, so maybe not. I don't
yeah.
know.
So I think this movie kind of fucked on the continuity of what color God's blood is, because it seemed like in this movie they introduced the graphic, the imagery of golden blood, but it only is whichever ones they choose to have golden blood in this movie.
But
Yeah,
totally different movie. But Immortals, the movie
yeah.
Immortals, I believe those gods have gold blood.
Immortals that came out in 2013.
Think so.
That's the one that's got
2011.
Steven 2011. Yeah, so that's the one that's got Steven Dorff in it, and who's the hero character?
Yep.
Who is the hero character?
Oh,
The guy, or not the character, but the actor. It's not. It's not the guy that plays Morpheus. Fucking Magneto, is it? What's his name?
it's got Henry Cavill.
Is it Henry Cavill that plays the hero in Immortals?
I think so. As Theseus. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, the only reason why I remember Steven Dorff is like his buddy or whatever in that movie is because there's a lot of movies that Steven Dorff's been in that I've liked quite a bit. He was in the first Blade movie. He played the bad guy, fucking Deacon Frost, and then he was also Scott Spab or Cliff Spab in the movie called SFW.
I've not seen that.
Yeah, both those movies are really good. Yeah, man. The Immortals, I remember watching that, and I remember it being pretty good. A little strange, but pretty good.
Yeah.
What were you going to say about the blood in that one?
I believe the blood in that is gold as well.
I have to check that out. Yeah, I'll have to look that one up. As a matter of fact, I think I've got that one on Blu-ray. I'll look in my tubs. I've probably got about 400 or 500 movies. When Thor and Jane discuss their breakup, Jane estimates it happened 3 years ago, while Thor says 8. The reason for the difference is that Jane was dusted for 5 years in the decimation after Infinity War. And contrary to Thor saying to Loki that it was a mutual dumping in Thor Ragnarok, the movie makes it clear that Jane was the one who pulled the plug. Of course, we all knew that because, Thor's a big fucking joke in Ragnarok and everything he says is stupid, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already knew that it was Jane that dumped him. Anytime a male character is like stumbling over his words and talking about it, it was a mutual thing. We know that they were big dumb and their love interest saw that they were big dumb and decided to cut it off.
Yeah.
It was Russell Crowe's idea to have Zeus speak in a Greek accent. Taika Waititi wanted a British accent, but Crowe did the Greek accent, and everybody was like, "Yeah, that totally works best." I didn't know what it was, when Russell Crowe was portraying Zeus. I just thought it sounded interesting, and I liked it.
Russell Crowe is a very smart actor, and why would you make again, why would you make a Greek god sound British? Like that just sounds stupid.
Yeah, it's a pretty dumb idea, but it's also a cliche that's used a lot in movies and television. Every time most of the time when we are watching a show or a movie or something that's supposed to be informative, we're supposed to trust if the narrator is British because all British people are very intelligent, right? So they must know what they're talking about.
Yeah, but this is a movie.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a Greek god sound like a Greek god.
For sure. But I don't even know what Greek people sound like, so I mean, we should definitely hear more of that for sure. But I wouldn't know if that was authentic or not because we don't hear it as enough, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Me and Holly are actually thinking about doing probably 5, 6 years from now, doing a Viking river cruise that starts in Athens,
Nice.
and I guess it's supposed to. I guess um, they follow different. What's what I'm looking for? Different travel paths the Vikings took, um, as they ventured out, along the rivers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something we're looking forward to. I think it's kind of cool that a cruise line has decided to kind of implement those routes into a cruise line, because me and Holly are actually really love um, the Viking era and the Nordic mythology.
Yeah.
It's something we really enjoy. Like when playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I never finished it because it was a really big game. Like, I mean, Assassin's Creed games are known to be massive, but this one was really massive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's one of those games that she'd sit down and watch me play because it had that Viking and the Nordic gods, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been really interested in Vikings and shit like that, myself, but I'm always happy to be exposed to cool mythology and, you know, good television, good TV, good movies.
Yep. There
Oh,
for a while,
hmm.
um, back before I became GN Grizz. Um, well, that was after I became GN Grizz. There was a group of buddies I played with that I played Call of Duty with back when we were playing tournaments and stuff on the weekend. But we actually we had enough people that we named everyone after a Nordic god. That was our names. It was kind of like instead of having the, um, oh, what are they called? The, like your group name that you can have before
Clan tag.
clan tag. There you go. So instead of having a clan tag, we were known as like the Nordic god group. It was kind of cool. I was Hoder, I believe, which is the god of hunting.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Um, yep.
Hmm. Interesting.
Uh, I was blind, but it is what it is. I mean, that was the god.
Huh.
But it was something cool we did, and it made it where we didn't have to have a clan tag.
Nice. Good deal. Good on you. In the comics, Gore, the God Butcher's powers is shared with the symbiote beings, Venom, Carnage, etc., due to Gore's weapon, the Necrosword, being created by Null, the dark god of the symbiotes. I did not know that. The film makes no mention of the symbiotes, as they are currently having the films being produced by Columbia Pictures. Um, the previous wielder of the Necrosword, implied to be Null, is made by an unknown and an unnamed figure. So apparently, the sword and the God Butcher's powers that he inherits through the sword is somehow tied to Venom and Carnage and all those symbiotes from the Spider-Man world.
That are not owned by Disney.
Yeah, yeah, those characters are. I mean, I don't know if the Null character is owned by Sony, but yeah. Hmm.
No, I think the Null character, the Venom character, I think that's Columbia Pictures. I think who owns those.
Yeah, I thought that was what Columbia Pictures. Hmm. I thought those were all Sony. So, okay, so you're telling me that that Spider-Man as Spider-Man is Sony, right? But then Venom, the
So
reason why Spider-Man didn't show up in the Tom Hardy Venom movie is because that's a completely separate company that owns the rights to that character, Venom, right?
Columbia Pictures is owned by Sony.
Oh. Well, then that makes sense. So they're owned by Sony.
Yep. So
Yeah.
Sony is. I think Sony has become the bigger competitor to Disney, because Sony's kind of the same way Disney is. When a picture company comes available, they try to acquire them. I think Disney, of course, just has the more funding because they're Disney.
Yeah. Yeah, Disney's huge, right?
Yeah, massive. I mean,
Super massive.
Yeah.
Thor's vest has the image of a tree-like structure formed from 9 orbs. This is a stylish rendering of the world tree Yggdrasil in Norse mythology, the depiction of the cosmos and its 9 realms, which is cool. But we also see that same tree structure appear from the overhead shot where he imbues the children with the Thor power, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So he hits them all with the yellow lightning, and they, each one of the kids, like, as the electricity arcs from one kid to the other, it all forms the same Yggdrasil tree, world tree.
Yep.
Yeah, which is cool. I kind of liked it. Did you know on the days that they would film kissing scenes, Chris Hemsworth would abstain from eating meat because Natalie Portman is vegan?
Did not know that.
Yeah, what a considerate guy he is.
100%. That is really considerate.
Super considerate. I bet you it didn't make his mouth taste any better, though. I bet he would have tasted better if he was eating some meat.
Probably.
I know that's right. Chris Pratt, an action star himself, not to mention being the son-in-law of bodybuilding legend Arnold Schwarzenegger, confessed to being awed by Chris Hemsworth's physique in the film. The film represents Hemsworth's biggest physique to date, Pratt said. People are going to be astounded to see what he's brought for this movie. It's next level. He's ratcheted it up. He's fucking great. He's got really, really great pecs, and he loves it. So apparently Chris Pratt is a super big fan of Chris Hemsworth's body. Who wouldn't be?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have Chris Hemsworth's body in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love just to touch it once.
Yeah.
In Thor Ragnarok, Thor is somewhat embarrassed when Korg suggests that Thor rode his hammer around. However, in the beginning of Thor Love and Thunder, the audience can actually see him do this with Stormbreaker. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't even know where to go when I saw that. I was like, man, like, are they trying to portray him as a witch? Like,
yeah, he apparently watches Harry Potter.
I 100%. I was like, even Holly, I was like, is he riding the Stormbreaker? I was like, it sure does look like it.
Yeah, that was. I think that's another one of those Taika Waititi jokes, that he thinks is so intelligent and so witty and funny, but what it does is it just demeans the character. It turns Thor the character into just a big fucking joke.
Yeah, because he's never rode anything. That he uses them to, like the hammer. He kind of throws the hammer, but he's throwing his body with it, and he goes with the hammer. He's never really rode.
Yeah.
It just kind of gives him the power of flight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's almost like it pulls him along,
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one. Chris Hemsworth's family appears in the film. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
His sons, Sasha Hemsworth and Tristan Hemsworth, play young Thor at different ages in the film. His daughter, India Rose Hemsworth, plays Gore's daughter, Love. Oh, wow, okay. And his brother Luke Hemsworth is the stage actor that portrays Thor alongside Matt Damon when they were doing the play thing.
Wow. I did not.
Yeah, his wife Elsa Pataki, I don't know how to say her last name. Elsa plays a former lover of Thor during one of the montage scenes. Yeah, so both of his sons, his daughter, his brother, and his wife all are in this movie. How special. How cool is that?
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's like really cool, man. So maybe, there's hopes for the future that he'll be able to get his family interested in acting, and maybe they can, carry forth the acting bug and make a bunch of money being an actor.
Yeah. I mean, I hope my daughter becomes something great like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to not work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep dreaming, pal. Let's see, what's next on the list? The scene where Korg addresses the children in the cave about the deeds of Thor is a reference to Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, which has an almost identical scene about children hearing about the film's central protagonist. This film and that film were both filmed in Australia. I didn't really get that feel from that scene, honestly, because I've seen Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome a bunch of times. Have you ever seen it?
I have not seen it.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's a really great film. There's some people when it came out they didn't like it, because it wasn't Mad Maxy enough, I guess, for them. But absolute gem. The movie is super, super great. And it wasn't until many years after I watched the movie, a whole bunch of times, did I find out that Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is actually a Peter Pan story. Like it started like the story as it was written was actually supposed to be a new Peter Pan film, but it never got off the ground because the script kept getting traded and floated around the different movie making companies or whatever. And I guess George Miller, the guy who does Mad Max, he got a hold of the script and then adapted it, morphed it, and turned it into Beyond Thunderdome. Which is super, super cool.
Yeah, it sounds like it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, if you I know you don't have any free time, but if you ever get around to it and you can sit down and just try to enjoy some Mad Max, I would say Beyond Thunderdome. That's the third one in the series. I would say flip that on and check it out. It's pretty dang cool.
You want to say hi?
I guess your baby's up, huh?
Yeah, she is.
Ooh. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed?
Yeah, I think she's been up for a little while, though. Yeah. Oh, you want to put my headset on? So. So what else you got?
During the fight scene in Omnipotent City, which is where they went, I guess the Hall of the Gods is called Omnipotent City.
Yes, that's what it...
Yeah, so the guards do not splatter red blood when injured, but gold. The Greek mythology states that the gods have a substance called ichor instead of blood.
Okay. That would make sense for the Greek gods, but what about all the other gods?
Yeah, I know, for sure. What about the rest of them? And now I got to ask the question: when Gore killed the first one, and we got to see the golden blood for the first time, what god was that he killed?
I don't even know.
It wasn't named. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry about the kiddo.
That's fine. That's fine.
She wants to snuggle with Dad at the moment.
Yeah, that's good. I'm going to mention real quick. What did you think about the tattoos that Gore had, Christian Bale's Gore had on his heads and on his face, that seemed to remind me a little bit of Kratos's skin tattoos?
Yep, I was kind of thinking the same thing. And then another another set of tattoos that I thought was really awkward were the ones on Thor's back.
Yeah, that was obviously a big joke too, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Just a big joke.
Because
Um,
rest in peace, Loki.
yeah, I didn't get to see the rest of them. I should have freeze framed it. That way we could all just have a laugh at big dumb Thor getting stupid fucking tattoos. Hmm. And so, but also, Gore, what did you think about the scarification that he had later, suggesting that he cut those tattoos off of his body?
Yeah, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so I mean, he starts off at the beginning with his daughter. They both have tattoos, and apparently those tattoos have some sort of significance as far as their worship goes, because they worship a god, and then the god turns out to be kind of a piece of shit. So then he kills that god, and afterwards, the next time we see him is sometime later. He has keloid scars where all the tattoos were, where it looks like he made, an attempt to rid himself of the tattoos that were on his body from before.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of what I thought. Maybe he probably cut him off just to show that he wasn't worshiping that god anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was some pretty good subtle storytelling there, because it doesn't come out and tell us, the audience, because we needed to know, we needed to have it spoon fed to us that there wasn't a scene where he's sitting there just stripping off, the tattoo with a knife, like flaying his skin. We can interpolate that, from what we see before, and then fast forward to when we see him later. And I think that was pretty cool. I mean, that shows a little bit more of his motivations.
Yeah, totally agree. What else you got?
Mm,
Well, really
when,
quickly off
yeah,
topic,
yep.
what is your initial thoughts on the Rings of Power? I know a lot of people are giving it bad reviews. Um, I honestly don't think it's bad. I
Yeah, yeah, cool. Same. I don't think it's that bad either. I, uh, I heard a lot of people's concerns before. I'm not a super fan of Lord of the Rings, so I don't pledge any allegiance to the source material. I tried to read the book once, I couldn't get through it. I had to shut the book when I got to the Tom Bombadil portion of the book. I had to check out. I was like, "Fucking see you later." I am absolutely not reading a song every other page. I'm done with this shit. So, um, I don't. So I can't speak on how accurate it is to the legendary Tolkien's original work or whatever. Just to be general, it's okay. It's passable. I'm not having a lot of problems with it. I mean, there's a few things in there that are a little bit forced, but I'm not hating it. I thought I was going to dislike it, but I'm not. I don't dislike it. I think it's okay.
Yeah, and I've read the books. I don't see where a lot of the people's disgruntledness with it is coming from because in the books it really doesn't mention much before The Hobbit.
Okay.
As far as like what happened and how the rings came to be, like we all know they were forged and but we don't know much about the battle that took place before The Hobbit. We know that Isildur cut off the ring of Sauron, like we know all that, but they don't really explain how it got to that point.
Yeah.
So for me, this is kind of like a Amazon Prime just taking it and maybe writing their own story to get to that point.
Yeah.
Um, But if there's nothing to reference it to, then they kind of have, as long as they tie it in at the end to what we know about the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, then I don't think it should have a bad review in that aspect. Because there is nothing. He wrote the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, and that's all he wrote. There was nothing before. There's no other books. So I just feel like maybe some people are a little judgmental to the fact that they're taking Tolkien's work and kind of rewriting the beginning stories and making it their own. I guess is what I think people are upset about. But if there was nothing to that Tolkien wrote, why should it matter?
Yeah, I agree. I think they should be allowed to tell their own story or whatever. However, I do think that if they're going to take characters that we already know from the films and repurpose them for this newer film that where the plot and story was not established and they're just going to make it up, they should do their best not to undermine the development and the motivations and the origins of those characters from the previous movies. Yeah. I think they have to be extremely careful not to muck all that up because we've seen this quite a bit here recently. I can't think of another. I'm a little frazzled right now. I can't think of another example, but there are when they take these characters that we already know and love and are established, and then they add a bunch of stuff that happened before. It kind of like Star Wars. It kind of mucks up what is supposed to chronologically come after, and I think they need to be very careful that they don't do that.
Yeah, and from what I can tell so far, they haven't. In the Lord of the Ring, I just watched the Fellowship of the Ring yesterday. Galadriel was always tied to Sauron. Like her fate was always tied to the ring and to the actual elimination of Sauron. Well, in the Rings of Power, I feel like that's tied the same way. It shows why she's tied to it, but she does not want to leave Middle Earth and go back home until that third has been eliminated. So
okay.
I don't see. I mean, I feel like that character development's still there. And then episode 3 introduced Isildur, which is the king of Gondor. Which, if you look at this island kingdom that he's from, if you look at their architecture, it's the same architecture that's in Gondor.
Yeah.
So did he bring that architecture with him?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's tying in way better than a lot of people are giving it credit for.
Yeah, I think most of the groans and stuff that I've heard are from super fans that say it's been established that female dwarves have beards, and I don't particularly, I don't know that, but they say that, and they're upset that the female dwarf doesn't have a beard. I'm like, dude, what the fuck ever? I don't see how that's a big deal. That's a throwaway detail that is not necessarily important, on the big screen. And then you get people, I don't want to get into race too much, but there's a lot of people that are super wrapped up on elves can't be black and dwarves can't be black or whatever. They're like, all of them were written to be white characters. All of them were written to be white. They say that Tolkien makes this apparent in the story. I don't remember from what I read. I don't remember ever reading anything like that. So me personally, I'm just gonna say, me personally, I think it's totally fine to have elves that are not white, that are, diverse, because it doesn't have any bearing on the story whatsoever, in my personal opinion. I don't think, you know what I mean? And dwarves and whatever made up creatures, fantasy creatures, insert whatever here. There's nothing, as far as I can tell, that impacts a story by having them played by an actor that is non-white. I think it's totally fine. So people that have their panties in a bunch about it, I don't respect their argument.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. I'm glad you agree with that, because there's some, like I said, I don't know where they get it, but they talk about one of them that I've read on the internet. People say this certain race, or whatever you call it, between elves and dwarves. I don't know if it's races, but they say this certain class of fantasy characters are described as having fair skin. They say fair a lot, the word fair. And it's like, dude, in my dictionary, fair doesn't mean white. Fair means like unblemished. It means like smooth skin that's like wrinkle free and, youthful and shit like that. That's not, fair doesn't mean white, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think I'm not trying to call those people that say that racist, but I feel like they're probably inserting their own bullshit definitions from their mind on words that don't, arguably, that's not the way the words are meant.
Yeah.
Cool. You feel the same way?
100%.
100%, man, for sure. Let's see. I want to say that I did have a big gripe about the show, but I just can't remember it right now. I mean, other than kind of a contrived involvement from Galadriel. Yep. Yep, I'm not coming up with anything. So you feel like wrapping it up right now?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll leave us with one last trivia reading from... I didn't get through them all. There's a whole bunch of trivia, but so for Thor Love and Thunder, when Jane is speaking to the man about reading her book when she was doing her chemo, she mentions two films specifically, the movie Event Horizon and the movie Interstellar. This says two Asgardian actors are in these films. Matt Damon, which was playing Loki in the movie, and he was in Interstellar. And then Sam Neill was in Event Horizon. And dude, I don't know where Sam Neill was in this movie. Where was Sam Neill at?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But I'm gonna have to go back and take a look. Have you ever seen Event Horizon?
I have not.
Oh man, it's a space horror movie. It's so good, dude. It is one of my all-time faves growing up. I think it came out in the 90s, like the mid-90s.
Okay.
Lawrence
Look it
Fishburne.
up.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, and Jack Noseworthy. And the only reason why I remember Jack Noseworthy is because he was also in SFW with Stephen Dorff that I mentioned earlier. He was in that movie, SFW.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Way to wrap it up. Okay, cool. So,
Yeah.
Grizz.
It was good, though.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's great podcast today.
Yeah, we need to do more of these. I love this. This is great.
100%. It's just, when we can only link up once or twice a week, we want to get that video gaming in too.
I know that's right. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Is there anything, any final words you'd like to, anybody who's listening, you'd like to impart on them?
Yeah, just, if you're listening to this and you haven't watched Thor Love and Thunder, don't necessarily listen to what we say. Make your own opinion. After that, then you can kind of look at what we say, and if it matches, it matches. I mean, there's a lot of people that kind of agree with what we've talked about, but I'm sure there's people out there that love the movie. Just kind of, formulate your own opinion before you just jump to a conclusion, and because you never know. I mean, not everyone's gonna have the same opinions as me and you.
Yeah, man. Think about it. Yeah, digest it. Don't just like Grizz says. Don't listen to somebody else and their opinion, and be tempted by you thinking that they're smarter than you are, so you're just going to take them at their word and take their opinion and carry it forward. You do yourself a disservice that way. Digest the material, compare it back to all your other experiences, and let's, maybe you can point out something that no one else is pointing out yet. So very good advice. Appreciate that, Grizz.
No problem.
All right. I'm Protodead. If you like this sort of stuff, give it a like. If you dislike it, dislike it. Leave a comment down below. I'd like to start a conversation about the movie with anybody that wants to participate in the comments section. Share the video with a friend. It helps me grow my channel. Thank you very much. Subscribe for future content. I'm Protodead, and I'll catch you on the flip-flop.